All right. Okay, welcome everybody to another appointment of the Future Materials Encounters, a program which is aimed to activate the Future Materials Bank and to merge the two communities of participants, alumni, and the ecology around the Jan van Eyck with the makers of the Future Materials Bank. Today, our guests are Polina and Varvara, which will show how actually future materials are rooted in very ancient natural cultural practices. They will take us into a journey of thatch, fibres, and pigments, where we will meet their parents, grandparents, and tools and other beautiful materials as we can see here on the table. So I will now thank Polina and Varvara to be here today, and I will leave you the stage and introduce the stinging nettle.
So my name is Polina and this is Varvara. So we graduated with this project from Design Academy 3 years ago. It was based on our common heritage. We come from Russia, and my grandparents, they were located in Ukraine, and I learned a lot of techniques of how they processed stinging nettle also during their childhood, and I found it very fascinating. So we're going to start with a presentation. So the stinging nettle, it has different parts which are used for also different purposes. So the leaves, for example, they could be used for foods. Maybe you have heard of the soup from the stinging nettle. Tea is also very popular. Also, it's used for traditional medicine. And for example, my grandmother is still using it for her hair, so they would grow more. The pigment, so you can see the leaves here, and they give the green color. And, well, the personal care. The stem, it could be divided into also two materials. And then it could be used for paper, ropes. It was used for the fishing nets and, well, for sailing quite a lot in the old days, for clothes, and also to make different toys out of the stem. And roots also are very popular for traditional medicine, and you can get the yellow pigment from it. So this is kind of a long-term tradition. So back in the day, people also collected it because it grows everywhere on many territories in Europe and Russia, also in China. So they had a way of processing it by making a hole in the ground, filling it with water, and, well, leaving the stems there for a month or maybe longer. It depended on the environment and conditions outside. And basically they let nature and bacteria do their work. So after this time, the nettle was ready to continue the work on. So it would be easier to separate the fiber, which afterwards they processed. And well, they had one family in the village that had a machine to make textile. So they would all bring it to this family, and afterwards they would have the textile, and everybody would do what they wanted with this. So you can see how they made the yarn and also the rope from it. So you can grow the thickness, and it's a very strong fiber. So it was used quite a lot for fishing and sailing, as I have mentioned. So these are the old-fashioned tools that were used. So for example, here you have the nettle, like how you collect it and dry it. And you would use this machine kind of with gears to break it, so it would be easier to work with it afterwards. And then you get, well, the fibers, something like that, and you have to brush it, so it would be easier to make a yarn out of it. So you can also see the yarn here. So these are some applications from really old school books, how people made it to make jewelry and toys out of the stem of the nettle. And, well, the longer it grows, the thicker the stem becomes, so it could be used for like bigger toys like this. Yeah, so this is also a way of making weaving and carpets. So this is like from the part where you can make a yarn, and then people also make different sorts of things for their houses from their local environment that would grow just outside. So very neat. This is our graduation project, and we were looking into the ways of using the whole plant. So we wanted to use not just the fiber that you would make yarn from, but also other parts of the nettle, which is thatch, that we're going to look into a little bit later. And we use the thatch to make the table and the stool, so it's a more sturdy material. The plates, which are here, we're going to try some samples today. And the carpet, of course, made from the yarn. And those were some tools that we also applied to make our life slightly bit easier, but very interesting still. Afterwards, I continued working on this project on my own, and I had a collaboration with TNO research institution. So they were looking into possibilities of making materials that could be recycled, and everything that we were working on was biodegradable. But knowing how much labor goes into processing the material, dyeing the material, I thought that's a shame that it's biodegradable and it's going to be gone. So I tried different samples, also different mixes of composites. And in TNO, they tried to recycle them. And afterwards, I have developed one of them that could be completely recycled and reused without the loss of quality of different parts. And with composite materials, it's very, very difficult to separate them in the after use of the product. So these are some of the samples that we had. I thought to make it more interesting and to add, besides the nettle, the PLA, which is a bio-based and biodegradable plastic, I used metal as well as a conductor for electricity. Because normally you have metal wires that are coated in oil-based plastics, and I thought, what if I will not use the standard wires and just use the naked metal, let's say, and put it also inside. So there are some samples with different colors of the fiber, with different types of metal and different combinations. And in the end, so you would see in the container, there are metal parts, the fibers that are easily separated, and the bioplastic, it becomes liquid. So you can easily filter all the parts out, and from PLA, it becomes the monolactic acid. So you can afterwards reuse it and to make PLA again. So these are different samples. Actually, you can see them here, part of the process. With some of them, I used the bioresin. The issue with it, that it's a little bit brittle, I have to say, and this didn't work with recycling. So some combinations with PLA were more interesting. And I also tried the homemade bioplastic. But afterwards, you would have the fibers that you can reuse, but the bioplastic, it was just gone. So yeah, the mix with PLA was most interesting. So these are the samples that I did of the light sculpture. And they took this sculpture and they also recycled it to see if it works, not just on samples, but on bigger objects. And it works. So the whole structure on the inside, it doesn't have the wires, just these 3 components. And also LEDs for emitting light, of course.
How big objects can you make?
Well, this one was the latest one that I showed during Material District last month. And this was like 35 centimeters in diameter. But the first ones, they were like 10, just as a tryout, like as a sample. But, well, technically you can go as big as you want. So yeah, this is a little bit of the prehistory. And now we can try and dive into the nettle and also try different samples. So okay, these samples is kind of what we're going to try to do today. Also, well, these are a little bit thicker ones with some layering. These ones are the samples with bioplastic that I kind of try to make myself. But yeah, unfortunately here the bioplastic is gone in the recycling process. This would be the bioresin. And this is the fiber, this is the thatch, and this is the mix of thatch with leaves as well for a little bit of color. This one is with the metal piece. So you can go ahead and...
But this is resin or?
No, this is PLA, the polylactic acid. That's bioplastic that is biodegradable and yeah, bio-based, made basically from cornstarch. These objects were not successful in terms of recycling. So the whole point is to make the process circular. So in the end, you would have these materials back, the fibers from the nettle, the plastic, and also metal parts, that you don't have the loss, you know, because the main problem of recycling today is that the quality goes down very often because it's mechanical recycling. With textiles, the fibers are getting shorter and shorter, so you would have to always add the virgin materials in it. So to make it more circular, so you don't have to actually every time add the new production into it, and that you won't have the loss in this process. So this was the most successful. Yeah, so this is the form how you collect it from the land. And well, here I thought maybe to make it a slightly bit easier. So I processed it with the tool, so it's already broken and it's easier to work with hands.
You
to try
did it through the little mill.
Yeah, the gears, yeah. So that would be the thatch, and on the outside here, the longer part, that would be the fiber.
Great.
So yeah, I guess you can see with this process that it takes a while.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to lose this material, and I wanted to make it circular so it could be reused. Because after recycling, it remains in this condition. So you can easily reapply it for something else. It does lose the color, but I'm using also the color from the leaves to dye it. So it's quite natural. And afterwards, you can try other colors if you want to change something in the material. And well, with this project as well, what I really like is that I can be in Moscow, I can be in Poland, I can be in Ukraine, I can be here, and I can collect nettles, and I can do something with this material locally.
Yeah.
And also same for cornstarch, which is the base of PLA, for example. So I think it's really important today to switch from the global with lots of transportation, and also what the situation with COVID showed us, you know, that it's not very easy nowadays, and we have a scarcity in many things, and that you can use this material to make pigment. Also, it was used for making cakes, for example, the green pigment.
Yeah.
So you can make it for you can use it for textile, you can use it for cooking, so it's like a very big variety of applications. So I think maybe now we can go to the fun part with diving into the water. So the thing is, to make it kind of bind better, I'm adding the cornstarch as well. And it does make the color slightly bit lighter in the end. So it's like just kind of cooking. So first we mix that together. There are actually two samples. So one is thinner, one is thicker. So you also can control the thickness. And they were made in one go, so they're not glued. So they're quite flexible and soft.
Put it in the mix.
Yeah, maybe.
It's important to distribute everything very well. Otherwise, because you will be kind of catching it out of the water, and to make sure you can control the process. And like the thickness and the pattern that you want, it needs to be kind of even in the water, as even as possible.
Give me the and the wooden. Oh, there it is.
There is the sample that I lost.
Yeah.
The lost sample.
We found it. Okay.
Okay, so that's fun. So basically, you just it's similar to paper making, to say. So, for example, you are kind of catching and you're looking if you like density, and you can also keep it a little bit, afloat. So then you can distribute it within the frame, redistribute. Or if you want to, like, have a denser sample, or for example, like the first one or like the second one. Also depends on the end result that you're looking for. The sponge, please. So basically, after you have to take it off the frame. And then you have to let it dry for, I would say, overnight. We'll clamp it.
You want to put more on top?
So yeah, basically you have to clamp it really well. Oh, can we? So yeah, maybe you can hold. My hands are really wet. I don't have a towel. Oh. So yeah, basically you clamp it like that, leave for overnight, and then, well, you have kind of like an example here that you can continue working with. So I'm going to show now, but we can continue with this tomorrow, because now would be too early. So I usually use something that is not sticking. And the brush.
So what we're doing now is the gluing process.
Yeah, I think I'm going to
the
show the steps, so there are not going to be surprises tomorrow. So basically, very simple process. Just take some glue and you put it on the piece. Really smells like cooking.
Lasagna. And does it change something in the results, depending on the amount of glue you put?
Well, you have to be cautious, again, about the drying, because the more glue there is, the more difficult it is to dry again. And you have to be really thorough with drying process. That's extremely important when working with these bio-based materials.
Yeah.
So
It's not on demand.
So this is basically the coating, and then you leave it to dry. If you want it faster, you can use kind of the dryer, the special one. I would recommend something about 60 degrees. But yeah, it could go also in a higher temperature, but I would recommend to be patient and to use more time, and also you can leave it dry in the natural environment. If it's sunny outside, then it's perfect. It could be just one day. and then you have your piece ready.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that you had to produce this frame for yourself for the workshop. You can't find them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Also PLA.
Also PLA. So
Really?
the framing part is PLA.
Yeah.
Did you color it?
Oh no! It's the recycled PLA from it's 3D printed. So I have.
Okay. This project had any impact on how you perceive life or the world around you, or you dealing with your own personal life, perhaps?
I don't know if it was very visible when I was speaking before, but I see more value in items that surround me, like on a daily basis. And for example, you have action, where you have really cheap materials that are mass-produced. But then I'm thinking also about the whole process around it, the labor, and if people who produced it were paid fairly, how this was transported, what materials exactly they were using in the process. And I have more respect to things, I have to say. So I'm more conscious about what I'm buying and for how long I'm going to use this, if I'm going to throw it away, because I know how much labor and care actually goes to make something that is friendly for the environment and for people who are making it and who are using it. So I think in this sense, it changed my perspective for, well, pretty much everything that I'm doing at home, like daily things and daily routine. And it's kind of a meditative process, so you saw that.
So I think this is like a beautiful image to close with. And yeah, thank you very much. There is going to be a follow-up tomorrow for who wants and who's available for the gluing process. And yeah, for today, that's all. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks a lot. It was really like generous of you and very inspiring as well.
Thank you for having us.